Here we will see returning the date and time part functions in SQL Server. First is day. This function is used to get the day value from the input dates as an integer. General syntax is day of date. For example, if we give select day of get date as current date time, it will display day of the current date. And if we give select day of joining date as day of joining date from employee, it will display day of the joining date for all the employees from the employee table. Next is month. This function is used to get the month value from the input dates as an integer. General syntax is month of date. For example, if we give select month of get date as current date time, it will display month of the current date. And if we give select month of joining date as month of joining date from employee, it will display month of joining date for all the employees from the employee table. Next is year. This function is used to get the year value from the input date as an integer. General syntax is year of date. For example, if we give select year of get date, then it will display year of current date. And if we give select year of joining date as year of joining from employee, it will display year of joining date for all the employees from the employee table. Next is date part. This function is used to get the portion of the date as an integer number. General syntax is date part and with parameters date part and date. For example, if you give select date part day comma get date, it will display day of the current date. And if we give select date part with parameters day comma joining date from employee, it will display day of joining date for all the employees from the employee table. Next is date name. This function is used to get a portion of the date in day, month or year as a character string. General syntax is date name with parameters date part and date. For example, if we give select date name with parameters month and get date, it will display month of the current date in character. That is, if month is September, it will display September, not 9. And if we give select date name month comma joining date from employee, it will display month of the joining date for all the employees from the employee table. Next is date difference. This function returns the number of date or time part boundaries crossed between two specified dates. General syntax is date difference, date part, start date and end date. For example, select date difference with date part as DD and two dates. It will display the difference between two dates in days. And if we give select date difference DD with joining date and current date, it will display the difference between joining date and current date from the employee table. Now we will execute these queries here. Since we are going to execute these queries with database table also, so first we will use database and first we will see day function. So if I give select day of get date as current day, and when we execute, it will display current day as 11, which is a date of the current date. First we will display all records from the employee. So select star from employee, and if we give select day of joining date as day of joining from employee, and if we execute, it will display day of joining for all the employees from employee table. Now we will comment this, and next we will see month function. So if I give select month of get date as current month, and if we execute, it will display current month as 9. And if we give select month of joining date as month of joining from employee, and if we execute, it will display month of joining for all the employees from employee table. Now we will see year function. So select year of get date as current year, and if we execute, it will display current year as 2023. Now we will execute this with employee table. So select year of joining date as year of joining from employee, and if we execute, it will display year of joining for all the employees from the employee table. Now we will see date part function. So select date part interval as day, comma, get date as current day, and if we execute, it will display current day from the get date function. Now we'll execute this with employee table. So select date part, day, comma, joining date as day of joining from employee, and when we execute, it will display day of joining for all the employees from employee table. Now we'll see date name function. So select date name for month, comma, get date as current month, and when we execute, it will display current month as September. Now we'll execute this with employee table. So select date name, month, comma, joining date as joining month from employee. When we execute, it will display month of joining date for all the employees. Then we'll see date difference function. We'll give dd and we'll specify date here with get date as date difference, and if we execute, it will give the difference between the date 2019 to current date. Then we'll use this with employee table. So select date difference dd, comma, joining date, comma, get date as joining date difference from employee. It will display joining date difference from the current date to the joining date of the employees.